Warning, the following podcast contains true stories from two dudes that suffer from multiple TBIs and other mental issues. Some of the content will not make any sense. Listener's discretion is advised, especially if your name is Randy. We hate you.
I like that. It's our new intro. Bring it down just a little bit. And we are back, live and ready, with what I would like to call our first intimate session with the one and only Jay, a.k.a. Andres. How's it going, man?
Good, man.
You have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, super uneventful. Yeah, I honestly didn't do anything. I think I probably watched 10 episodes of Game of Thrones. I made a super fat sandwich at the beginning of the day. And that was it. Nice and relaxing.
You missed out, man. We had an amazing spread.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I love to cook for the holidays. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I think I absolutely outdid myself this time. So, but maybe New Year's I'll cook again for you.
All right, so I'm getting a to-go plate on my way out or what?
Yeah. Well, my wife got really hammered and she started giving away everything. And I already had made a deal. I'm like, hey, we got to save a good amount for Eric, our other co-host, because his wife is laid up. She had surgery. So I was like, we got to have some saved for Eric and Paige. That way I can take it to him. And by the time everybody started leaving, my wife just starts handing out full casserole dishes of sides. And it's like, no, just take it. Giving away our ice cream, our pies. And I'm like, by the time I found out, everybody has gone home. And I'm like, hey, so what have we got for leftovers? She's like, well, I pretty much gave everything away. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So Eric, I am so sorry. But I am totally blaming my wife and throwing her under the bus for that one. So when you come over to podcasts in the week, please take it out on her.
Yeah, eat before you show up. There will be no food.
Oh, so the reason I wanted to have you on was to sort of explore the mythos of what it really means to be a GB. Is now more than ever, people need to realize that it's not like the movie. Not to say that it's not great and amazing, but people have the wrong idea of what it's like to be part of this profession and do this job. They think it's a action-packed movie.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case, especially right now as things are starting to slow down. Definitely not the case.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing career field. There's lots of great stuff, but there's a lot of work that does not get highlighted or shown.
Yeah, no, I'd say for me, one of the first things that drew me to it all, because it wasn't until I was already an SF dude that I figured out that Rambo was a Green Beret and all that stuff. I didn't grow up with this allure of I want to be, popping out of mud puddles in the woods, naked, knifing dudes, right? I didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
As far as what organization filled what role.
Yeah.
For me, it was at one point, I still am, but not to the same degree in organized fashion. But I was really involved in Bible study and stuff when I was first got to North Carolina, and it was this group of dudes, probably 7 or 8 guys, and I would say of all of the dudes that were there, the ones who were living out their life the way that they were trying to get me to were the Green Berets. Right? It was all the SF dudes. There's 3 or 4 of them, most of which are out now. But I just remember looking at everyone's life and be like, all right, well, this dude's saying one thing and he's doing the same thing. This dude's doing it. This dude's doing it. But the ones that were really just living it out with full force were the Green Berets. And I just remember being like, dang, well, that kind of that drew me into that. And then from there, I just started asking questions. But what is it like now, huh?
Yeah.
I still like to think there's a part in the Battle of Green Berets, and it's going to sound kind of cheese dick, but where it's like men who mean just what they say.
Yeah.
And like that to me is like, there's plenty of organizations that are in better shape than us. There's organizations that are better shooters. But I like to think that for me, one of the, like, to romanticize it for a second, was an SF dude is a guy who is doing what he's saying he's going to do.
Yeah.
And it might not be pretty and it might not be sexy and someone could do it better. That doesn't really matter, but his words are matching his actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent right there.
No, that's perfect.
But what's it look like now? I don't know. I mean, I think for one, especially for anyone who's listening who isn't already in or isn't already a part of some special forces group, like find somebody to kind of mentor you prior to and identify what it is that you're going to actually be doing. I think some of these younger guys, I feel bad for them too. Some of these younger guys who came in the Army a year ago, even a month before Afghanistan shut down, was like, oh, I'm going to deploy to foreign countries like Afghanistan, and I'm going to get the opportunity to go to combat, to do bad things to bad people, if you would, and didn't realize that it's not how that works.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really only one core task of ours.
Exactly. It's very, I believe that now more than ever, guys have to understand that there is there's a massive amount of work to be done in this field. It's not just the combat aspect of it. And we have to start romanticizing the other aspects of it. I mean, even though it's not as sexy, like, you have to be proud and look forward to the other parts of the job.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we need. We need guys to understand that there's this whole other realm of stuff you get to do, and that's cool in itself. And it doesn't have to be what you see in movies or in video games.
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest things that stands out to me, like right now, and with the younger dudes, or even seeing the older guys, because I've only been in the organization for 10 years, which to some dudes is a lot. But I think one thing now, whether you've been in for a little bit or whatever, if humility doesn't come to mind, you're in the wrong organization. Like,
yeah.
I'm getting ready to go to another country on Monday, speaking a different language that was not natural to me. And it's just a constant reminder of like, man, like, because that's the one thing that separates Green Berets from any other organization in the Department of Defense is our language capability.
Yep.
That we can go somewhere without any type of help as far as an interpreter is concerned and know the culture, embed in the culture, do our job without needing. And for me, it was just like a reminder, like, oh, damn, I'm going with one other guy.
Yeah.
And his language is worse than mine. And I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be interesting. And then I just had to I had to do the work prior to.
Yeah.
Put myself in class finished with us doing, our language refresher. And I continued to go on my own time, even when the guys on the rest of the team were gone in other countries. It's like, I'm still going in on when the rest of the company's gone in a half day.
Yeah.
But humility is definitely one, because there's been plenty of times where I'm like, oh man, I'm crushing it. I'm doing great. And then I go to a course. I go to like Jump Master, for instance.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's a whole new list of skills that you have to know. And no, by the way, people's lives are at risk if you don't do it right. And it's like, oh damn.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I always took for granted till I was on my way out, were all the little moments of being that key player in a situation where you are the dominant speaker, you are the subject matter expert on that, PDSS, or doing that mission in brief, and guys are looking to you for that answer, and to be able to stand in there and know your craft, know what you're saying. Like, that's a powerful moment, and you almost put it off to the side because, it's not combat.
Yeah.
It's not as sexy as being in Afghanistan. Like, this is, okay, I did a good job. But no, like, you have to, if you're in right now and you don't take the time to identify how well you're doing and growing and developing in your job, like, it's going to be an afterthought until you're done. Like, stop. Take a look at how good you're handling things. Take a moment to understand that you're doing the job that, you get to do, and you're crushing it. Like,
yeah,
It doesn't always have to be being on a range. It doesn't always have to be by yourself in Afghanistan with a bunch of commandos. Like, there's legit aspects of this job that you can still be proud of and find immensely rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all those little things that are gonna that are gonna set you aside. Like getting shot at and shooting back at somebody doesn't take any like real skill. It's like you've been training for that. You've shot tens of thousands of rounds, depending on what team you're on, maybe even close to 100,000 rounds. Yeah. And it's like, that's just, you're reacting at that point. It takes being proactive prior to, like, did you put in the right amount of work to make sure your body was recovered? Are you eating correctly? Are you spending your free time in a way with your family to where they're strong enough back home to support you being able to do those things? I mean, did you get the truck ready? Is all the equipment where it's supposed to be? Like all of that other crap. And I think we want to ignore it and just be like, oh, well, I want to just be able to do this one thing. It's like, go be a Navy SEAL then if that's the case.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, if you want, and you can't even say that, and sadly, I think it goes for everybody these days. I don't want to shit on anybody, but yeah, we all got to go back to the basics with our new guys coming in. And it's a perfect segue because you're coming back from developing and mentoring that next generation of guys.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like?
Oh, man. I mean, so for one, at the time that I left group, I had been in SF for 6 years. So my initial thought was, oh, I'm going to go teach this next generation of Green Berets. I've got 6 years. I've got 3 deployments. Like, what am I going to teach these dudes?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And then I thought back to like my cadre when we were going through the course together, and there was some phases like day one after we've been selected, and they used to say all the time, like, congratulations, you just passed the easiest part.
Yeah. And
then we show up day one and they're like, burpee mile, go. And you're like, whatever, we're not going to do a mile of burpees. And we did a mile of burpees. And they just try to get people to quit. That's all they were doing. I think back on those instructors that were just like, all they wanted was individuals to prove grit.
Yeah.
They didn't really care about like what they had to bring to the table intellectually. And I didn't want to be that guy that my students remembered and was like, oh, I hated that dude. Like, he sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely didn't want to be that person. But I also didn't want to be a reason why soft men were getting into our ranks and walking into team rooms.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't want my name to be used at any point with a crappy dude. Like, if you showed up to a team and they're like, who was your cadre?
Well, funny you say that. Yeah. His name was Jay. Yeah. He's got your stamp of approval.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, oh, that dude sucks. So at first, so go and do it day one, or first class, whatever. And I just get like the craziest questions.
Yeah.
And questions like I remember one time I had a student, we were doing mission planning, and this wasn't the day one, but early on, we're doing mission planning. And he's like, I'm like, you guys got to build a sand table for your op order to brief actions on the objective. I'm getting ready to walk out for the day. I'm like, do you guys have any questions at all? Like, ain't nothing, just ask me whatever you want to ask me. So as I'm leaving, he's like, Sergeant, we need more sand for the sand table. And I was like, okay. He's like, do you know where we can get more sand? And I like kind of just looked at him, and I just do this thing where I just kind of like close my eyes for a long period of time. I just hope that you're going to come to the conclusion. And the rest of his classmates just looked at him, and they're just like, we'll get him from outside the dirt. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably what I just would have leaned with, right? But I was like, okay, these guys need me, right? Like, I'm like, okay, 6 years experience in SF. What am I going to teach them? And then I get questions like that, and I'm just like, oh man, like, you guys know nothing.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Game of Thrones. You know nothing, Jon Snow. I should have just started calling them all Jon Snow, like the dumb ones.
Oh my God! I just, Sergeant, we already got a sand. Yeah. Well, good thing you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was very rewarding, very, very rewarding. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the job. There were some students that you could just see from like day one, or even just at the end of the class, you're like, that dude would have ran circles around me if we were in the same year group.
Yeah.
And I would remind them all the time. I'm like, the only thing that separates you guys from me is time.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, some of you guys are going to be better than I'm going to be. And some of you guys will never get better than you are today because you're lazy and you lack work ethic. But the only thing that really separates me from you is time. But I don't know. It was different. I seen a lot of things that didn't sit easy with me.
Yeah.
As far as the standards that I remembered that we had going through, I didn't feel like those were held to the same level of importance. Some of the hard gates that we had to experience on a regular basis, on a very regular basis, really. I remember they'd come into language class on Thursday and be like 12-mile ruck tomorrow morning, 04.
Yeah.
You're like, damn it, man. Like, this is the second one this month. Like, really?
They used to drop it on us before. If there were like a 4-day or a 3-day, you'd guarantee to be doing a 12-miler.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, like, looking back on it now, I'm like, all right, cool, 12-mile, like, it is what it is. But we had just got out of selection. Then we go to this course, then we go to this course, then we go to this course. It's like, it was just kind of a lot. But I remember asking my boss, I was like, hey, how do you expect to get buy-in from your cadre when the same standards that you were expected to uphold when you went through and the ones that we were expected to uphold when we went through aren't being held? Like, how do, what do you do? And for him, he didn't really have a straight answer. It was just kind of like, figure out what's important to you, figure out what you want to get out of this.
Yeah.
And if you're able to get the things that you want out of this organization, without that being too much, like, you got to decide what hill you want to die onto, But yeah, in a nutshell, that time as an instructor was very rewarding. But I did see a lot of stuff that didn't sit easy with me.
Yeah. Everybody back at the group level, I think everybody would hear the constant push and pushback to guys were giving back to the training command with the changes. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just some things that fundamentally make you a stronger individual while going through the process. And now I'm wondering, with the official end of Afghanistan, are we going to see standards come back, or are we in a new phase, new process for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I forgot who I was talking to not too long ago, but I was like, the focus on First Special Forces Command shouldn't be how do we continue to produce X amount of Green Berets annually.
Exactly.
It should be how do we retain the quality individuals that we've already invested in.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't remember the exact number, so these are just going to be very loose, and I'll probably just use 100, 200, and 300. So let's say, like, to lose a bottom end employee, it would cost that company like 120% of what that individual actually brought to the table.
Yeah.
For one, to bring the low guy to the level that he was at, and then to get him back to a point where he's producing as much as that individual was at the time that they lost. Right.
Yeah.
Then you got middle management is going to be at around 200 and something percent, or around 200%. So to get that guy up to that medium level to make up for what they lost in that time, and then to get him to a point where their investment has now become, they're starting to see a return on their investment, and then even higher. So to equate that at, like, a company command level or above, like, you have some of these guys that are just like, hey, I'm going to get out, or I'm unhappy with this. So you got dudes that could very well go and take a company as a sergeant major. Yeah. And they're like, I'm done. I don't want to stay in anymore. And it's like, well, how long does it take to recreate that individual? Yeah. So I don't know. I think that I would like to see us do a better job of retaining good dudes. I don't know.
I feel we are losing quality personnel at a rapid pace, and we're losing a lot of the institutional knowledge at the battalion and company level. It's like we're always I'm seeing a massive recreation of the wheel for a lot of processes. Guys just don't have the knowledge, and I don't see that changing. And in fact, I see it getting worse when you have to continuously reiterate and republish the same stuff over and over again. It's like, where's it getting lost? And you realize, oh, it's the seniors that are getting out. They are not teaching or passing off that continuity and just saying, fuck it, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And we're probably going to see that continue. I mean, you can only make a cheat sheet for the iDrive and a binder with instructions on how to do something.
Yeah.
And that can only be a stopgap measure for so long before, and we rely heavily now on our support MOSs. It's no longer, I remember coming up, our seniors could run circles around the battalion staff and battalion support MOSs, be able to do everything. Like just now it's a lot of guys are depending on those support guys to teach them or just do the support stuff for them completely. And it's just like, fuck, like where does that leave us 10 years down the road?
Yeah. So when we first showed up, I think for me, like a lot of the senior dudes were drawing on previous experiences and then using the tools in place to help execute.
Yeah.
Whereas now a lot of the younger dudes are using the tools in place as this is what it looks like because this is the example that I have without being able to draw on a previous experience because they don't have it, which isn't a fault of their own. But also they're not thinking through problem sets because it's like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to use. It's like, well, why? Like I got back from my instructor time for a little less than 3 years. I got out early from that instructor time because they thought we were going to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They pulled me back. And that same thing, I was like, man, what am I going to bring to the team? I've been away from things for 3 years. I've been doing administrative stuff and showed up and went straight into a cephalic, straight into a super long train up and just came up from air about maybe 6-7 weeks ago. But the fact of the matter is like, I'm a decent shot. I'm in better shape than probably 85% of the team. And that's not even what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
Like me being on the range, me being another guy on the stack, or me being, on a demo range or doing this isn't what they're like, oh man, it's all the little things that they just, I'm like, well, why are you guys doing that? I'm like, well, this is just how we've always done it. I'm like, well, that's stupid. Let's do it this way. And they're like, I would have never thought of that. And I'm like, okay, well, welcome to the Army.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but like you said, there's this huge exodus, if you would, of middle management, if you want to call it that, that are just leaving. And they're like, hey, I'll just ride my time out. I know dudes like when we first showed up to go work in the kennels it was a bad thing. Like
exactly. There was such a stigma on leaving the teams to learn a new profession or, cause there was guys that legitimately had, the drive and desire to figure out that whole life and job of being a dog handler. And people were like, no, you can't do that. That's a bad idea. Don't ever, no. Yeah. Don't even talk about that openly.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck?
I know all kinds of dudes that are like, dude, I can go to the dog handlers. Their schedule is predictable. Yep. Like I'm able to get time with my family if I want it. I'm able to get opportunities for schooling if I want it. Like now, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing too, and I think that senior leadership has failed to provide for us. And I mean, even outside a group, just direction.
Yes.
Like the Army, one of the ways the Army defines leadership is by providing purpose, direction, and motivation. And it's like they provided us with no direction.
They only tell you to be on a team for as long as possible and hang on to that and never leave that. And if you leave it, it's looked upon you as if you're a dirtbag, you got in trouble, or something's wrong with you. It's never, no one ever takes the time to sit down and say, hey, this is what your career could look like. These are all the opportunities. It's always looked down upon to walk away from the detachment to fulfill other roles. And whether it be recruiting, drill sergeant, there's guys that come down in orders, but there's guys that volunteer. And it's always spoken as if the person came down with like terminal cancer.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh man, like, great. Like he's going to go be an ambassador and influence the next generation. No, it's always like that piece of shit. They flushed him out. He's a recruiter now. Or man, did you hear about that dumbass? Yep. He got given drill instructor orders.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think I think First Special Forces Command as a whole did a bad job with this new, like, and I don't know what it looks like. So I am right now speaking above what my current capability is or understanding is of this. But like with the new promotion ranking system with the OML and a lot of that is, I think that they could have done a better job as far as like IO with, right. So SF as a whole was always like, go to SWIC, go to SWIC, go to SWIC. You're going to better your future. You're going to better your future. Like go to SWIC. And it's a self-licking ice cream cone. They need individuals to go to SWIC because they want to continue to produce these individuals. Yeah. But then this new promotion came out and it was like 16% of individuals that got promoted had SWIC time. Yeah. So now it's like, well, damn, no one wants to go to this place now because the thing that you were telling us, like, oh, you need this. If you do A and B, you'll get C. And now it's like, well, hold on, dude. There's 84% of the dudes have never done the thing that you're telling me I need, and they're progressing in their career. Yeah. So I think that they could have gotten ahead of that in some way, because that's another big one too. Is dudes are just like, well, I don't need to go there. I don't need to go and give back to the regiment. Yeah. Because what I want is to get promoted, and what you're telling me doesn't align with numbers. Yeah. So I think that's super dangerous right now too. And then I mean, damn, the Army just came out too, like. Anything over 10 years, you're indefinite. Yeah. Like, I knew a dude on my team that was getting ready. He's like, oh, I don't like my SWIC assignment. It kind of sucks because he was told he wasn't going to go. Yeah. And he's like, but whatever. We'll figure out where we're going to go. I'll start to kind of maneuver a little bit from there, and then I'll figure out my next move if I'm going to stay in the Army, if I'm going to get out. And then they came out and they said, anything over 10 years, you're indefinite. And he's like, he's at like 10 years in like 4 months or something crazy. So he's like, wait, you want me to re-enlist for 9 years? You want me to re-enlist for 9 years when the Army doesn't even know what they're doing next year? Like, we got told last week, hey, start doing paperwork for fourth quarter trips. Yeah. And I'm like, no, definitely not doing that. No. Yeah, I need your budget in. Yeah. For not next year, but the year after that. I want to know, I want your battery requests for FY29, because we got a new pot of money. And then you jump through hoops to do this job, or to meet that requirement. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, hey, the budget fell through. It's like, well, you told me that on a Friday. Yeah. At, I'm not even going to say 4 o'clock because nobody's there at 4. But hell no. You told me that Friday at, 12, and it took me an extra 2 hours to come up with all these numbers and to figure out, and then for you to tell me a week later that, hey, it's too late. Yeah. My favorite's, hey, get those GPC requests in by COB today. Everybody's got 20 grand. Just, we have full capacity to buy whatever you need. Do all that work, send all that shit up. Yeah, no, that got turned off. We found like 2 hours later. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is, I mean, that exists and that sucks. But the thing that gets me even worse about it is, like you were talking about, the Army has recreated so many systems, and especially where we're at, there's just so many systems on systems on systems on systems. Like, let's say that $20,000 did exist. Yeah. And I had an hour window to produce it. I produced the document by the grace of God. Somehow I was able to get my quotes in, do all that. I push it up, and then some dude can red ink it because the title font was different than the rest of the font. Yep. And he goes, hey, kick it back. And now I missed my window. I can't purchase the equipment that. Which, by the way, my guy, did you send it through Gears? Because if not, like, why do I have a paper copy? Why wasn't this submitted through Gears? Yeah. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You create another system to submit something else to another system. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, First Special Forces Command right now is real big on innovation. That's like the big buzzword. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't even need to be. We don't need innovation. We need to decrease systems. Yes. Like, hey, if I sent you 3 of the exact same memo, or not the exact same, if I sent you 3 memos and they all had the same content, describing the same thing with the same verbiage, and all 3 of them had different fonts or a different size, you should accept all 3 of those because you know what the hell I'm trying to say. Yep. Like, to be like, oh, well, this doesn't match 25-50 that was written in freaking 1810. Yeah. That's exactly it. We're using manuals and guidance that was put out for fucking typewriters, dog. Yeah. Typewriters. Yeah. Yeah. I can't even. Let me send this shit to you in plain text on a OneNote document, what I need. And then you just fucking sign it. Yeah. Yeah, like I would be amazed. I bet if the Army was like, look, we're going to try, like, take an approach from these, CEOs that work in the private sector.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, I want intent and direction, and then we're going to let them execute.
Yeah.
Like, stop getting, like, the amount of energy I have to put in to one packet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if I had the whole team help me and we're like, hey, we're going to make sure this thing is absolutely perfect. Someone's going to kick it back for some reason. But now I just took that hour from 12 different dudes. So I put 12 man hours into one document for it to get kicked back. And I don't know. I think some of the stuff that we need to move more towards, like, decentralized command. We need to move towards less oversight for the areas that need it.
Yeah.
Hey, this memo can get sent up, but we're going to expect you to execute the training and implement those risk reduction control measures in the way that you told us going to. Because if you don't, then we're going to bring back some gate crap.
Yeah, it's so retarded the way things have gotten. Like, we're losing manpower, we're increasing the amount of busy work, and the requirements to just get out the door to do training, not even a real world mission, just training, are just as ridiculous.
We're talking about practice.
Talking about practice.
Talking about practice.
I just want to go.
Not the game. We talk about practice.
I just want to go to Spain and practice Spanish with 10 of my guys.
Yeah.
Nah, dog.
Yeah.
Check it out. First, you got to pass a language test. But my guy, hear me out. These dudes spent like 3 years back to back in Afghanistan. Spanish is not on the top of their radar. They're not going to pass. Yeah, I'm going to really need them to pass that test first. Yeah. Then y'all can go.
It's like they're going there.
Going
there to learn it, to increase it. Not only that it would be like 2 weeks out before they're going to go. And they'd be like, hey, we noticed that one of your guys hasn't submitted his shoe size yet.
Yeah.
We're like, what? Yeah, he needs to update his shoe size. Okay. Cool.
They take these systems so fucking serious. And then they look at them and it's like, okay, look, this is specifically for a very, very niche system for a very specific time frame of when they're going to be doing something. Yeah, I know, but it needs to be applied to everything. It's like, no, dude, no.
Yeah. I had just got back. I just remember this is funny. I just got back and we needed OP4 for something and a memo had fallen through or it didn't get sent up. So we lost our OP4, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, we kind of need these dudes to be on the objective. So we have someone to shoot at us and shoot back. So I'm like, well, who does the request go through? And they're like, HSC First Sergeant. I'm like, perfect. I know exactly who he is. I'll go talk to him. So I go talk to him. He's like, yep. Send me an email. We'll get it drafted up. Okay, cool. Send him an email. Nothing happens. See him again like a week later. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? I need this. I need these dudes. He goes, oh, yeah. Send me a 5W. I'll look at it. I promise. We're good to go. I get back. I say it to one of the dudes on the team. He's like, all right. I turn around like 2 minutes later and he's got this form open and he's jamming out. And I'm like, what are you working on, dude? And he goes, oh, I'm doing the 5W. And I was like, there's a form for it? And he's like, yeah, they made a form. Yeah. And I'm like, I used to just put it on a text.
Exactly.
Hey, who? This ODA. We need this many dickheads on this day from this time to this time.
Oh,
like,
dude.
That's it.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, nope, you need a form for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
We're killing ourselves.
We are.
I think we need more leadership and it's hard to even discuss that right now with the people that we have in place.
Bro, but I've seen, speaking
of people to say no.
Yeah. Speaking of leadership, my guy, if somebody sends you a memo and you actually type in on the comments with what needs to be fixed, rather than it just fixing it for the fucking team, you're part of the problem.
Yep. Yeah. Or if you're going to red ink my document, do the whole thing. Like, don't stop at the first error and be like, oh, nope, send it back.
It just becomes this cat and mouse.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I'm like, look, if I drop the ball and I don't know something I'm supposed to know and I sucked, help me, dude. I mean, like, just help me out.
Help me.
Yeah, exactly, dude. But I don't even mean like leadership at our level. I just mean like even at an organizational level, man. We've got general officers that aren't taking accountability of actions, and yet, we're supposed to, we get nailed to the cross,
bro.
If I lose like a damn I don't even know, GPS. I lose a GPS. Hey, your statement of charges, bro. You're going to pay for up to 10% of this. And it's like, oh, cool. But I was doing it training, doing what I was supposed to do to prepare. And they're like, no.
Yeah, man. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so screw the billions of dollars that we left in another country.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah, it doesn't apply here.
I think people just need to say no.
Yeah.
Like we need to get back to an organization that actually wants innovation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I have a great idea for innovation, sir. Well, what is it? I don't think your job should exist. Oh, well.
But I'm the group S4X. Yeah. Tell me what that is. I'm supply. But I'm not directly supply. I'm a people person.
Yeah. It's nuts. If you guys aren't watching a lot of movies, and you guys need to watch more movies because a lot of the stuff we're saying is movie quotes.
Yeah, we have way too many people with very specific job titles that do absolutely nothing, and it's more than just trimming the fat. It's understanding like what do we need to be lethal, to train effectively, and to steer the ship back on course. Because I feel like we're straying, and then, like, I know it's easy to critique and to pick at things and then not provide feedback on how you would fix it. So I don't want to be that guy. I do want to see the state of the regiment improve. I do. But it's not going to get better until we address the fact that we have got to remove some people from power.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we did just kind of complain for the last.
That's okay. Because a lot of people need to hear what's really wrong. Yeah. It's like when you think that couple on the other side of the fence is really happy, but then you go there for the holidays and you realize that she's really toxic and drinks a lot and is sleeping with like two of the neighbors.
Nice. Yeah.
But he's doing the same thing. Like, oh, wow. Oh, Melinda and Bill are bad people.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Gates.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's just, I do think that we need to maintain standards.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to talk about how to fix it, I think we need to be comfortable with hearing no from our subordinates. Even if I was to go to the S1 and a private was like, hey, no, because that's not how this works. Cool.
Yeah.
But know your job well enough
to explain it,
to tell me why I messed up. Right.
Yeah.
So we need to be comfortable hearing no. I think innovation doesn't also always necessarily mean adding something
or tech.
Yeah. You look at the private sector. Most of these big companies are downsizing from what buildings they had before that. Because oh man, I don't have to pay for a 10,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
My people are still able to accomplish the same job. And all I need is a, 1,200 square foot office space. Yeah. It's it doesn't necessarily mean adding stuff to it. And we need to figure out how to maintain talent.
Yeah.
Because screw getting in our 588 Green Berets a year, right? Who cares? We need to figure out how to maintain the good ones. I think it was, the book is called The No Rules Rules. And essentially there's a part in it where it's hey, how do we have a company like Apple or Google? And how do we get to that level of success?
Yeah.
And they're fire the 90% of your people who aren't working and promote the individuals, the 10% that are, and pay them what you were paying the 90% to do their job. Oh, well, I can't get rid of 90% of my force. It's well, then you'll never have a company like those.
Yep. There was a big talk, and I guess it was done before our time. Things were leaner, things were tighter. The budget wasn't there, so teams got pretty much shuttered up. Teams didn't exist, and I feel like we rushed to grow, and now we've gotten to the point where we should be more critical, more demanding with the product that we're getting. And if that means that we don't have a 3-3 team or a friggin' dive team, then so be it.
Yeah.
Let the organization shrink, because now they're saying well, it's going to get so competitive. You'll have to fight for your mission. So I'm like, oh no, same thing you've been saying. Like, we're going to have to fight for that J set.
Yeah, good. Okay. Let's breed some competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let us get smaller.
Yeah.
Let us get smaller. Let's not push to constantly open a floodgate of individuals, because I'm seeing it come through. I mean, guy came through the other day in processing wearing 2 left boots. Like,
you're making that up.
I swear, I totally am.
Okay. Dude, I was going to say, the fact that you didn't call me to just come downstairs. Okay.
No, but I have seen some young individuals that, it's nothing. You get a reading on somebody, then you see him perform, and you can't be too hypercritical until you've given that person enough tasks to really show their abilities. And, you know, if a guy goes to the field with you and goes doing an FTX, does a train up, and he consistently makes mistakes, okay, cool. Let's train him. Let's isolate. Let's figure out what he's deficient in. Train him on those. Give him enough time to develop and see what his potential can be. But if he's consistently performing at the bottom and he's not getting better, and you're providing him with guidance, giving him every opportunity to succeed, that tells me something.
Yeah.
That tells me that individual doesn't have the capacity to do this job.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, don't want to be mean about the thing. Don't want to tell the guy, I mean, but at some point he has to be able to do it. And if it's not in it, or he like had a misunderstanding of what the job is, then by all means, like, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey man, like, I think you're better off working somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And also too, to rewind it, like, in no way, shape, or form, like, you've pretty much seen me grow up. Like, I got to a team at 23.
Yeah.
I went to selection at 21, like, you know, and now here I am 12 years later, damn near. And it's like, I made plenty of mistakes showing up, and I had great leadership.
Yeah.
I've had some not so great leadership as well, but I've also had other individuals around me that are like, hey, they're going to shape me. They're going to help me. So, like, obviously there's a grace component in there too.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely spot on for bringing that up. But another part of it, like, to go back to like standards in the course, like, the course is a little bit shorter, and by a little bit, I mean a good percentage shorter than it was. They're changing some things from like a performance standpoint, right? Like, we had a portion of a course that we went through that went from like super crappy to like really crappy to where it could not get any better. And then they rearranged it for the new generation where it will be like, hey, you'll come in from like where it should start to get at its worst. We're going to bring you in. We're going to feed you. We're going to do your classroom portion. And then we're going to put you in this really, really crappy phase. It's like, well, they didn't experience the 5 days leading up to that really let you see them in that 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not stripping away that shell. Like, and I think that was super important about the course. Like, when we went through, I mean, year and a half, like, there's good dudes that at month 9 are like, I quit. You're like, bro, what? I remember being in small unit tactics and a dude that was just like the stud.
Yeah.
We got out of a patrol base one morning and you see him packing up his stuff and we're like, what the hell is this dude doing? He walks with the cadre. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, like, really? But if you're not letting dudes experience that and you're not pushing them to that threshold, like, now obviously there's people with PhDs that know more than I do in the sense of, hey, from a certain perspective, we're going to lose performing individuals, or they're going to lose their ability to perform physically. But that's going to allow us a glimpse into who they really are as a person, right? So, yeah, I mean, a lot to be said about it.
Indeed. Now, to get to the good part, this is like a scratching the surface podcast with Jay. So, like, I'm hoping we can have you on for even more discussions.
Yeah, I'm all about it, as long as someone doesn't hear this and I get fired.
Trust me.
Yeah. I'm a white male, blue eyes.
We're all in first group.
My name's Jeff.
I play a lovely game called 21 Questions with Jay. Jay. As soon as I
ask me 21 questions.
21 questions.
All right, let's go.
All right. Favorite movie?
Man, that's wild. Can I get a category?
Action. Let's go action.
Man on Fire.
Man on Fire. Okay, not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
I mean, he is at his... I would say he performs in that movie at his best.
It's a great movie.
It is. I wish he would have lived, but I understood what he died.
We don't know that he dies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He does live because then he made Man on Fire 2. You might know it as The Equalizer 1. It's the same movie.
It's the same movie, yeah.
And then Man on Fire 3, The Equalizer 2.
Don't forget the TV show, highly successful.
Yeah. Queen Latifah.
If
the door gets kicked in and I see Queen Latifah, I'm just gonna shoot myself.
If you've never seen Queen Latifah running, just watch the first episode because I'll be the first and last time you see her running.
Yeah.
Top 3 favorite books.
There's this really good book. It just helped me with have a better understanding of the geopolitics in the United States called Accidental Superpower. Another book called Rare Leadership. And another one probably Winning. I think by Tim Grover.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good book too. And obviously, I read my Bible every day, but I'm guessing you're talking about.
No, that counts.
Yeah.
Car or truck?
Truck.
Nice. Top career achievement.
Actually, car.
Go.
Say car. I'm giving away a car.
BMW.
Yeah. Car.
M-Class. Top career achievement.
I'm really narrowing it down on this one. Honestly, it's going to sound super cheesy, but getting hit up by my previous students still.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, hey, I ended up here. How would you approach this? Or even before they graduated the course, they'd email me and be like, hey, I went from this course to this course. And, I'd go out and see them out in Robin Sage or SUT and stuff, just to shadow it and stay proficient. But it was cool seeing them still reach out to me and be like,
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, man. That's something every NCO should experience at least once.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks about some of our brothers that are phenomenal 18 X-rays. Developing and mentoring your juniors is one thing.
Yeah.
But being able to have that experience of mentoring that young, just fresh, new guy.
Yeah.
That is being able to impact somebody like that. That means a lot. That's that mentor part of you that for all of us that needs to be grown and developed.
I think it's cool seeing them down the road too, when it's man, there was this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kid, and then you see him a year or 2 years down the road and you're like, oh damn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Best meal you've ever had.
Dude, I eat so much. I'm such a foodie. That's super tough. I don't even know.
We'll save that one for next time.
All right.
Greatest fear.
I mean, probably something along the lines of failure, but it's one thing to try something your hardest and fail.
Yeah.
That's I'm not afraid of that. It's putting myself in a situation where I fail, knowing I could have done better.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Dumbest thing you've ever done. Don't say this podcast.
No. I've done a lot of dumb stuff. I've done a lot of dumb stuff. I almost killed a buddy and I one time with a mortar. The pin stuck. We were doing handheld and we were getting shot at. And I look up to see where they're at. I drop the mortar in and it just goes off. Boof. Because it's supposed to be on trigger fire, not drop. and it just goes straight up. And that's probably the one that I can think of right now. Like I've done some dumb things, but that's up there.
That is a terrifying moment.
It was. It was.
Favorite non-pornographic magazine?
I don't even I subscribed to like a tattoo magazine back in like 2011. So probably that one.
Nice. Favorite pornographic magazine?
Dude, I don't even, do they still sell those?
I don't know. I think everything's web-based now.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
I would imagine it's something with like gangster Mexican chicks.
Something, yeah. Like lowrider bikes.
Yeah.
Going over speed bumps.
The thing that you do best. The one thing.
I want to say talk crap, but I also think it's like
that is a God-given gift.
But I think it's
you have the fastest wit of anybody I've ever met.
Yeah, but I want to say me doing that is also I'm going to say mentoring. I'm
gonna say all right.
Yeah, when I do it, there's a lot of crap in it, but there's some subtle truths. So I want to see you be a better person, and I'm going to berate you.
Like the great Stoics.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, the thing you're the worst at.
Oh, I would say probably opening up, on a personal level.
Oh yeah. Space or deep sea?
Space, 100%.
Space?
Yeah, no, not going deep sea.
Dumbest movie ever?
Oh, the one that I could think of is there's this freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where his wife dies in a plane crash because the combat controller or whatever his name is it's not paying attention and they crash. That movie sucked. Yeah, that movie was terrible.
Best movie ever?
Best movie?
Yeah.
I'm not a big sci-fi guy, but I can and I don't rewatch a lot of movies. I can rewatch Ready Player One and Guardians of the Galaxy over and over.
Solid choices. Who would play you in a biopic?
And this is, I gotta maintain a certain level of anonymousness, autonomy. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Bruce Willis.
I mean, that works.
Yeah.
Might have to do some CGI to de-age him, but
yeah, with Bruce Willis.
All right, absolute dream job.
Honestly, if I could start a group where it was just let's say, hey, I want to manage, or I'm managing 20 properties. You're doing your podcast, and other individuals, running a range. Or I would love to have a just conglomerate of like-minded individuals from a financial standpoint, from a marital standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, and just have essentially I thought a team room of, and we all just kind of, I know it doesn't seem like we're all just throwing money towards new people's ventures and then figure out what that would look like. I know that would be that'd be kind of messy, but
I like that idea. Here's the name: Clan de Golfo.
Clan de Golfo. The Golf Clan.
Nice. Might already exist.
I don't. What is it?
Just research. It's one of the biggest narco trafficking groups.
Out of what country?
They're primarily out of Mexico, and I believe they traffic through the Triangle.
Nice.
But yeah.
Nice.
They might have it, but yeah, I mean, it fits us.
I like it. But yeah, honestly, if I could have something like that where it was I just want to be around like-minded individuals. I want to be able to say what I want to say about something without being worried about because I know some dudes that have gotten out and come back in, and one specifically on my team. And he's like, dude, I did the civilian thing for a while because he's getting ready to re-enlist for 9 years.
No.
Yeah, and he's like, I got out, I did the civilian thing for a while, and he's like, I don't want anything to do with it, man. He's like, this is the greatest job in the world. But I want to be able to be around individuals where that's how I feel every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Passionate, happy, driven, and chasing down things that fulfill that why and that purpose.
Yeah, because honestly, I could be a general contractor, man, build houses, and
Yeah.
I would be completely content if I'm still getting my fulfillment for the things that are important to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I hear you on that big time. With that being said, nightmare job.
I'd say any job in the regiment working under a crappy leader.
Yeah.
Because you can have the best job, like you could be on an ODA and it could be the best, like, you know,
Yeah.
there's times where it's like being on a team is like the best thing in the world. But if you have a crappy leader, you know, for those who know, JMH, you work under JMH. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. So, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta do the voice. It's a dead giveaway. Hey, fucking, hey.
Yeah. That dude. So yeah, working under a bad leader.
Yeah. Tell me about the worst teammate you've ever met.
Tell you about him.
Yeah, or just tell me like
He was brand new dude. I've never done more paperwork on an individual.
damn.
And like you don't in our organization, we don't do paperwork on people. Like you have to suck. He just showed up. He was very entitled, put forth little effort, thought that his physical ability was enough
Oh.
to get him through the door. We would do events where I wouldn't run circles around him, but I would beat him out of just sheer will.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's no way I'm letting this dude beat me. And he just didn't have that drive. He would, for him, it was, let me show up, let me put this green hat on and call it a day, type of thing. And yeah, he just had a really bad attitude. Wasn't willing to learn.
Yeah.
He's out now, luckily. So yeah.
Turds.
Yeah.
Favorite vacation spot?
That I've gone to or that I want to?
Either or.
I really want to go to Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, being in first group, not having that opportunity to go there yet is really, it's killed
You
me.
know, how?
Yeah.
How has that not happened?
I don't get it.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Maybe it's coming up next after Mongolia, I hope.
Worst boss and best boss.
I won't say his name. Worst boss. He got to the position of running a team and leaned very heavily on all the seniors to do their job. And did exactly that. Like we'd be like, oh, we're gonna run a range on this day, we're gonna do this or do this. And he'd be like, oh, I'm gonna be gone, I'm taking care of.
Oh.
Like, bro, that's 3 weeks from now. What do you mean you're gonna be gone? Like, oh, I'm going here. So
Yeah.
that was kind of annoying. And then
That's not mentorship. That's not development. That's just
yeah, and then on top of it to be like, hey, like give credit to the guys when it was necessary, you know.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't a thing. And we don't do it for the glory, but it was just kind of annoying. I remember one time we were gone on a trip, we were planning somewhere, and he literally is like, can you guys keep it down and try to sleep? So I walk over next to his bed. I go, hey, what'd you just say? And he goes, can you guys keep it down and try to sleep? And I just yelled. I was like, let's just say his name was Joe. I'm like, hey, keep it down. Joe's trying to sleep. Like right next to his bed. He just like looks up at me. He's like, you're a dick. And I'm like, I'm the dick. Like, we're bro, what?
your dad.
Yeah. Like,
what are you doing right now?
like, yeah. So that was worse. And then best. I've had a really good team start, man. That's just like demonstrated everything that he expected from us. Went to bat for us. Was very transparent. You know, when he needed to be. But the biggest one I think is just like, and he could have done a better job too. But like for the boys, every hill was worth dying on. It's like, hey, bro, like to hire. You know,
Yeah.
hey, we need one person to go clean up whatever. He's like, no, my guys are working. And it's like, well, thanks for having our back. Like, we love it. But like, we could we're drinking beer.
Yeah.
Like one of us can go do that.
We can do that.
Yeah. So
we don't need to be hated by the entire fucking battalion.
yeah.
And last one, Rangers or SEALs? Who would you rather join? If you could go all the way back to the very beginning and choose a whole new path, where would you go?
I mean, that's tough only because I know that I would want to end up here.
Yeah.
Right. So like it would be a much easier process for me to go Rangers and then, because I'm still in the Army, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I would probably say Rangers and then come here.
Yeah.
There is a certain allure. Like the SEALs do a great job.
Oh yeah. Marketing.
Yeah.
Like TVS or CBS SEALs TV show.
Exactly. So there's times where I'm like, we'll say it joking around in the team room, like, damn it, should have been a SEAL. Like, again, jokingly, but
I mean, there's something to be said about.
There is. I mean, dude, they do a great job. Like, great movies, great books,
great hair.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I probably could have been a SEAL just because of my hair.
Yeah.
But
it would have been tough.
Yeah, probably Ranger.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to go back, I would have gone straight as a young little kid straight into the pit of death that is Ranger Regiment. See if I could survive.
Yeah, learned.
Knock that shit out when you're young.
Yeah, it's definitely a young man's game, that's for sure.
17 with your mom and dad's approval. That's
Yep, that's for damn sure.
But with that being said, my man.
Well, I got one for you then.
All right.
If you met a young aspiring SF dude in a bar and you had like 2 minutes and he's like, hey, finds out for whatever reason you're an SF dude. And he's like,
he probably sees it somewhere in the hat, the t-shirt.
Cries.
And then I'm probably wearing cry top and cry bottom.
Or what's the one that we used to wear all like bright and early in our career before we knew it, like 511s?
511s, yeah. It's like sit right next to them.
They still smell like promethrin because you just soak them so you don't get destroyed by mosquitoes.
Hey, man, go ahead and ask me what I do. I bet you want to.
I mean, what would you tell him?
I would tell him outline his priorities in life. If he's not married yet, figure what that looks like in his future. Or if he is married, if he wants to have kids, look at all the things, look at his hobbies, look at all the things and possibilities that he wants to do. And then figure out how you can make the military work around that, not the way around. Family, faith, finding your why and your purpose, that has to be first, front and center. Then figure out how this job will meet those things, if it does. There's one thing that I've realized now that the sun is setting on my career is the things that I'm actually passionate about, the things that I love, the things that mean the most to me weren't spending hours on the range. It wasn't flying into all those countries. It was the intimate relationships that I built with individuals, being able to mentor, being able to take care of the detachment members, being able to be that protective mother bear. That's what made me ultimately so happy in this career. Yeah. And if you identify what gives you purpose to your life and what you love doing first, it's going to make it so much easier.
Yeah.
Because the moment it stops being fun and fulfilling, that's when you walk away. And that's something I didn't understand for a long time. And I held a lot of bitterness and anger towards guys that we came up with when they reached their limit and they left. It wasn't until I went through my challenges and grew up and found out like, oh, wow, I want to be a husband. I want to have kids. I want to be a father. And taking care of these guys on the team is amazing. And it's such a rewarding thing to be able to be the guy that others come to for answers. But it's not more rewarding than coming home and seeing my wife and planning a family with her.
Sure.
That means more to me now. And I now understand why people were always telling me to read books, understand what your purpose is. And I'd be like, whatever. I want to be a Green Beret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would tell them. And he would likely tell me to fuck off, old man, that the future's now and he wants to be a warrior.
What do you know, pussy?
What do you know, fag?
Yeah.
I'm here to fight China.
Yeah. You over here reading books, philosophizing?
It's stupid.
Yeah.
As he throws his pit vipers on.
Yeah. Crushes his freaking mango white claw. And freaking skates out in his Sperry's.
Skylar, get in the back.
Yeah.
We're leaving.
Should have told him to be a SEAL. Now we just described him. Yeah.
But yeah, knowing if they're not ready to receive a message, they're not going to hear it out. But there are guys that I meet that blow my mind when they're like, yeah, my main priority is my family. And we had a lot of guys like that in the company that had a wife, had 2 kids. And when they found out that, okay, they're demanding more than I'm willing to give, it's time for me to leave. Yeah. They do just that. And they get ridiculed. They get treated like shit. But ultimately, you look at them now and they're happy.
Yeah. This is a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people come here looking for a way of life. Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. So until next time, let's play you off with a delicious song. Ooh, man, straight from the 80s. Can you believe that's actually me playing the synthesizer on that one? Yeah, it's really smooth. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Security Halt, Denny, we are out.